Fallingwater? No. So this is a tutorial and a tour of building Frank Lloyd Wright's masterpiece, Fallingwater. In Minecraft, I use survival mode 1.16. The plans are the original plans of the house from the Library of Congress that I adapted for Minecraft. Those adaptations are linked in the folder below with this video. The first thing to do is some basic terraforming. The house is famously built over a waterfall, so first you have to build the waterfall. This was all flat terrain first, so first I built up a terrace of 3 blocks, cut a riverbed into it so that we could have the waterfall. Once I found shaders that gave me transparent water, I actually carved into the waterfall so you can go underneath it there, because the actual waterfall that the Kaufman family, who the house was built for, there were pictures of them sort of playing around underneath the waterfall there, so I wanted that to be there. Then you can see on this first level there are the piers that the house was built on, and then it goes up from there. So the first thing to do was to build the terrace that the riverbed is on. The main door, as you can see, is 1 layer up, each layer being 3 stones high plus a 4th layer that is the floor. So there's another terrace, as you can see here, that is sort of the ground floor that goes up around the lower level, and everything gets cantilevered off of that. So coming across the bridge here, we see the drive. This is the first instance of something that Frank Lloyd Wright did a lot in the house, which was the idea of compression and then release. So here you have this big vista, the house and the river, and then this very narrow drive with the crossbars over it. And then the front door of the house is right here in this fairly narrow little court. There was a fountain here to the side. That was where the Kaufmans would wash off their shoes after they've been out here in nature. And this way, if we go to the left, there is steps down to the plunge pool, where you could jump and take a quick little bathe in the river if you wanted to. As well as steps to the upper east terrace, and here we are on the east terrace itself. All the French doors and the glass leading into the great room. But the main door, again compression, we come in this fairly narrow space with a coat closet here, and then we come around into the great room of the house. Wright liked the idea of taking out the walls between things, so all the various areas, there are no walls in between them. Instead, they're set apart with rugs and things like that. The great thing about this house is that most of the furniture was built in of wood, and Wright's very rectilinear designs really worked well with the step blocks in wood looking like the benches, and slabs looking very much like Wright's low-slung tables. So actually that looked rather like the actual built-in furnishings here at Fallingwater. The floor is made of polished andesite, except around the hearth. The hearth is pretty famous. It was an actual basalt boulder that the house was built around. So all the floors are stone, but the rest of the stones were meant to be waxed and polished, while that boulder was left rough to suggest an actual boulder sticking out of the stream bed that this was built up over. So I've used cobblestone, as I've used in all the walls, for the hearth, and then polished andesite for the actual floors. You may choose a different stone for the walls. The texture pack I'm using, which will be listed with the video, the cobblestone looked very much like the flat river stone that was quarried for the house, but if your cobblestone looks bad, you may want to use a better stone. But the great thing about the house is that there's basically only 3 materials in the whole house. There's wood for the furnishings, there's stone for the walls and floor, there's glass for the windows, and then there is the beige concrete that is used in the roof and the terraces. So it's a good thing to build for Minecraft. These are the famous stairs with their skylight that go right down to the river. They are suspended over the river. And then there are various terraces that the house is famous for as well. I specifically used a texture pack that had the frames around the glass because the mullions in the glass were something that Wright was very, very interested in, and so those are deliberate. The skylights and the lights, these are not exactly true to the house, but it gave me better illumination, but it is using glowstone for that. The dining table here is the one part of this I really didn't like, but the slabs made it look too heavy. But I don't like the fact that the tabletop using pressure plates is separated like that on posts. This was the kitchen area, the big door. This was the back door that I used to get to my little hovel as I was building this place. And then this takes us down. The plans included the basement of the house as well, where the wine cellar was, where I am now, and then the boiler room. And then I actually put in a door here so you could actually get underneath the piers, one of the piers here in the house. Of course, that wasn't true to the original house. It would have collapsed if that were the case. But anyway, so this is in the blueprint, so I went ahead and built it down here. There's a little glass block I put so you can see. Once again, I had to build up the initial terrace for the riverbed and then the secondary terrace for the first floor, so there's a lot underneath this house, as you'll see when we go upstairs as well. Again, using slabs, using blocks to suggest some of the architecture in the house. One of the few things I actually built here were bookcases, because there are a lot of those in the house. Heading upstairs. Again, this idea of compression and release. The hallways were quite narrow at Fallingwater to give you a sense of really stepping out into nature when you had the wide windows of the bedrooms here. One of the compromises I had to make were the bathrooms. So blocks are about 3 feet wide, whereas a real wall is about 6 inches wide. So that space is going to be consumed somewhere if you're working from blueprints, and that ended up being in the bathrooms because I didn't want to take any stuff out of the bedrooms. So for the bathrooms, I just was very simple. I just have a andesite stair upside down and some water, and that will suggest bathrooms. It's not a perfect solution. There's a lot of paintings in the house because the Kaufmans were art collectors, so I have a lot of those here. Should probably add some more, and I do use additional texture pack for those. It's the master bedroom, of course. The hearth, again, this double hearth that formed the center of the west tower. The built-in table, that much is true to the actual architecture. Here we are on this terrace, looking across. The carpet here is covering the glowstone, so it's not shining up through the floor. Most of this carpet I put in because the actual floors are stone, but they, for this, the ceiling of the layer below us and this layer is all the same. I use sandstone for this, which in this texture pack looks rather like the beige concrete that they use, but your texture pack may vary. And again, carpet. This was listed as a dressing room in it's the bathroom here as well. Listed as a dressing room in the actual blueprints. I couldn't find a lot of pictures of this room, so I just sort of furnished it consistently with the rest of the building. Here's this terrace as well. Nice little sunset. Going up, this room up here, this third floor was built specifically for the Kaufman's son, who was the person who introduced them to Wright. And this room was actually a drafting studio and a library, so I went ahead and put my other crafting table here. That window does not exist in the real house, but I wanted another view, so I just put that in. Again, another bathroom up here. Terrace, there's the chimney for all the fireplaces below, and then there's a little sleeping alcove up here. This again was used for the sun. So yeah, so that's Fallingwater. I used Optifine and a series of modern texture packages for this. I'll link those in the description as well. The other really great resource that I use, I'll hop on over here. The roofs are made largely of slabs at this level, as you can see. There was a great model of the house that was made that I used as a reference on the roofing, which was really useful. That's in the folder linked with this video as well. One additional thing I want to show you, let me make it day so I don't get killed on the way out. Of course, this house famously was built there on the riverbed, not the riverbed, but over the waterfall, and on the slope of a hill. So it was actually built into the hillside. So there is this bridge that comes from the second level that went over to the top of the hillside. You can see the drive there. And actually at the real house, the hillside continued up, and there was a pathway with a cantilevered roof to the guest house. That wasn't something I wanted to build with this, but I did have to build this hillside. So once again, I just had to do some terraforming. What I found was easiest was to build the ground out from here, from the bridge, having built the bridge first, and then just sort of connect down. So there's a lot of terraforming there. I did find, by the way, since you'll be laying up levels to get the heights all correct, you want to, you can sort of peek in there. Look, there's some there already. You want to lay down slabs or torches underneath wherever you make openings like this. This is the underneath, because they will spawn here, which is fine if you're sealing it all in, but then you'll hear this horrible groaning sound all the time, and it will feel like your house is haunted, which is a little bit creepy. So anyway, so that is coming back door here. That is Fallingwater. I just put a block there that I didn't want there. Oh well, I'll get rid of that. Hopefully this is useful. If you have questions about this, I should point out, by the way, I'm very much a novice designer. This is only the second structure I've built in Minecraft. I had some tremendous help from people on my server in terms of materials, in terms of suggestions through this whole thing. So if I can do it, I'm certain that you can as well. Just come out here for one last little look at the building. It's awful pretty. Again, the plans, block by block. I will make a note that the plans are not exact. They're pretty darn good, but in some cases I found I had to stretch a given wall by one brick in order to make it all sort of line up. Do note there in the west tower, that great wall of glass, I did find it easiest to use slabs for the flooring there instead of blocks right against the windows, because it just shows a little bit better from this view. Anyway, I hope that was a useful video for you and a nice little exploration. And if you have questions, yeah,